Auckland and Melbourne City in the box seat for a grand final showdown, Perth Glory's departure list, and the silly season begins for player transfer rumours. All that and more coming up. This is the Far Post Perth, presented by ID Athletic. For all your merchandise, all your kit requirements, go down and see Austin and Josh and the team, or you can visit idathletic.com. And of course, Trio Homes, if you're looking to build, redesign or renovate, visit triohomes.com.au. Second last episode for the season. So, yes, getting set to wind things up here at the Far Post Perth. With me on this episode, Neil Sherwin jumps back on with us. Mate, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Little story.
Yeah, go on.
We've got time for a story.
Yeah, story time.
That was pretty cool. On Sunday, I drove all the way to Peel for an amateur cup game, but after that, I drove all the way back and went out to Red Hill Auditorium for to watch one of those American rock bands that you're not supposed to like them anymore, Train. And went to see them at Red Hill. But supporting Train was Katie Tunstall. Yeah. And she was rehearsing in these very studios on Saturday. I thought it was pretty cool.
Mate, where we, just to let everyone know, where we record is the Hen House Studios in Osborne Park. And, there's a bit of a wall of fame if you go out there. And there's some magnificent names on there. Local, international acts.
Well, I just thought that was pretty cool that she'd use this very studio, followed in our footsteps, and was doing her rehearsals here on Saturday for the gig that was on Sunday. So there you go. So on the socials afterwards, but a little plug for where we are. It's a good spot, absolutely. And I had a nice night on Sunday. Anyway,
beautiful stuff.
So long answer. I'm fine, thank you.
No worries at all. Jumping in with us because we were a bit short on a couple of people in this episode, but a man who I've done many a football show with in the past, and obviously does a bit of commentary with myself for Sport FM for the Aleague. Murray Stevens jumps on with us, mate. Welcome.
It's great to be part of the team.
Good to see you here, mate. What's been happening anyway in your world?
Oh, look, NPL. Yeah. NPL. A lot of NPL over the last couple of weeks in State League. Been fantastic.
It's a good season. I've really enjoyed this season. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more when we maybe have a bit of a look at who's doing what where across the local leagues and a few other things coming up. We'll chat a bit of A-League, of course. Plenty of news coming out of Perth Glory. Murray, I'll get you to do the honours, mate. We start with our good, our bad, and our ugly from the week that was in football, mate. Take it away.
Well, I'm being really optimistic this week. I don't have too much in terms of bad or ugly, but good. Got to say, NPL and State League, nothing like it. There's, of course, you got that huge long gap where the A-League season finishes, particularly really early for Perth Glory. But it's great to get down to Nashfield on the weekend, see some games. Coburn a couple of weeks ago, Rockingham. Mate, just great venues, great football, fantastic stuff.
Now, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you, mate, because I was out.
Is this your bad?
No. This is just a little bit of a personal biff that I've got with you at the moment. I was out at Armidale watching Perth Soccer Club take on Armidale, and Armidale came up trumps 2-1. And 86th-minute winner, I think it was, from Peter Jacobs, who got Armidale over the line. A good game of football. And then you sent me a text blabbing about Armidale. Right, and, I get it. You've had a bit of a past relationship, should I say, with Armidale. There was a bit of an association down there for a while. But these days, you're more at Western Knights or at Coburn because you live down that way. Who do you actually bloody support these days?
Be very neutral, mate. Very, very neutral. I'll tell you what, though, there is a soft spot for
Get off the fence.
Particularly when you're down there supporting Perth.
Yeah,
so basically, I support whoever is playing Perth because of you playing Tree Gold.
Well, what did I say? I said, you don't get to blab when you're not here either. You get bloody at Nashfield. So there you go.
Hey, decent, though. Decent day out there at Alfred Skate, I bet you had.
Oh, it was beautiful weather. Yeah, no, it was a great game actually. Perthville. I only had a mid because I was driving. I'm trying to be a bit responsible these days. I've kind of come straight back off the juice and haven't had a proper session in a while now. So I've been very well behaved, Neil.
Good on you.
Yeah,
I know the feeling.
Yeah,
it's a lot harder to get up these days.
Well, I did that. I did that when obviously my now 3-month-old daughter was still very raw, and I did have a bit of a night out, and about 7 a.m. in the morning, my partner Beck just came and put her straight on my chest and said, well, there you go. And yeah, it wasn't a great feeling with a once you'd been there as well. So there you go. Give us go, mate, with your good.
we did talk about it just beforehand, and I'm going to say I think Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup was a good story. Not nice for City to lose a final, but I'd rather lose to Crystal Palace this year than Man United last year, simply because of the 110 years, hadn't won a major trophy. You could actually see what it meant to the supporters. It was genuine emotion. You can't begrudge them of it. The game itself was, I think City could have played for 3 or 4 weeks and not scored the way it was. Palace rode their luck a little bit with the handball outside. I mean, he's handled the ball outside the box. It should be a red card all day for the goalkeeper. I don't think anyone
how's the ruling on that though? His feet are in the box, so it's okay?
No, they said that it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity for Haaland. Well, it wasn't because the keeper punched the ball out towards the touchline. So obviously it wasn't. I think they tried to even it up a little bit with the penalty. It was a bit of a dive from Bernardo Silva, and then Marmoush's penalty was saved by Henderson. And Palace scored a great goal. Yeah. Good on the counter attack, and they've really consolidated themselves as a stable Premier League club after doubts over their future, 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And they've got good players. Like, give me Adam Wharton and Eberechi Eze into City's midfield next year, please, because they're both brilliant. And that's always the risk with a team like that they now get. The vultures will be circling and looking to pick from them. But it's great. It's a bit kind of like Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup. Yeah. Monkey off the back for them. Great scenes for generations of their supporters. And like, I actually don't mind losing, and it sounds a little bit condescending because I'm so used to City winning things now. But when City won the FA Cup in 2011, that was the first trophy they'd won in my lifetime. Yep. And I remember like being buzzing and delighted. And then they won the Premier League, obviously, with the Aguero moment shortly after that. You can't put a price on those memories, and for those Palace fans to have it at Wembley in a cup final that they were firm underdogs for, I just thought it was a really good news story. I'd rather it had been like Liverpool or Arsenal that they beaten, not City. But they were fully deserving of it.
Well, I think it brings back a little bit of that romance too, doesn't it, to the FA Cup? Because it had lost a little bit of its shine.
The magic of the cup thing has kind of become a bit of a cliche, but also a kind of a bit of a disparaging remark. And is the cup magical anymore? And for a lot of clubs, it isn't. Putting out reserve teams, using your reserve goalkeeper the whole way through the competition. And it's not at the end of the season anymore as well. I actually forgot it was that weekend because I in my head it's always after the last round of Premier League games.
Last game
it was the last game. It was the showpiece fixture when I was growing up, and I sat down and watched the FA Cup 3:00 on a Saturday, and then I started messing with the kickoff time and put it at 5:30 and just all the different ways of devaluing it.
Well, even growing up here, it was one of the only staple fixtures that you could watch at a regular time on Australian TV was the FA Cup.
Well, I sit down on a Saturday, and Saturday morning you would have BBC on, and the coverage would start at 10:00 in the morning, and you'd have the build-up, you'd have the teams arriving, you'd stuff with the fans. Yep. It was a day, the FA Cup final. It was huge. I can remember like vividly FA Cup final games more than any other games, really, because it was an event, and it was good to see a fan base with their tifo and the colours and everything else actually saying like we are fully into this. Yeah. So I thought it was a great story for Palace to win that. Yeah,
no, excellent stuff, and good stuff there. I'm just going to, I guess, just reiterate, and I've had this for my good for a number of times throughout this season, but I don't think it can be underestimated just what the heavy lifting that Auckland has brought this year. They're going to go into a second leg of a semi-final. They've had to expand the capacity at Mount Smart Stadium. They're going to go up against Melbourne Victory. This is going to be a hell of a match. I imagine there's going to be a few hundred Victory fans if they can get in or head over. But everything considered in the A-League at the moment, and we've talked about this. This is an expansion that I think we've got to give full credit. They've got it 100% right. And I think they've almost saved the A-League in a certain respect. If you have a look at the average attendances across the league, I mean, that 20,000 or whatever it is at Auckland has brought up the attendances to very respectable levels. The growth as well. So,
particularly when you're looking at other clubs, Western with 3,000 to a final. That's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. Let me tell you. So, as I said, I just don't think it can be I don't think it can be overestimated just how big they've been for the league.
No, I think with that as well, it shows prospective owners and investors that you can achieve something in a short space of time. Not that we want it to be a sugar hit where they come in and they have a successful season and then they just get complacent. We want them to lift the standard, but they came in with experience of other football clubs, both in the US and in England with Bournemouth, and they really went in and they built a squad from scratch. They got an experienced coach in who knew the league, knows what it takes to win at that level, and it's paid off for them in spades. And the challenge for them now will be to back that up next year, irrespective of what happens in the grand final. They're still the best team of the year, no doubt about it. I don't give a shit if they lose the final. That won't change my perspective on them and how solid they've been right through. But now it's a case of in a salary cap league, doing it year on year. And did it become an attractive prospect for other players? Because previously, and we know too well living in WA that it's not the most desirable place for players to come and live. And Wellington wasn't necessarily that either. That you're competing against East Coast Australian clubs the whole time. Well, maybe Auckland is on vogue at the moment, and maybe they do pick up. Do they go with a marquee, or do they continue with what they've got at the moment, which is a collective of
even what
good
they've
players?
done with those players, though? I mean, there was players in the wilderness as far as their club and international careers have been given the opportunity, and now a lot of them are gone straight back into that New Zealand setup, and it's really resurrected them. So it's more about these pathways and opportunities again, just opening up, Murray.
Absolutely right. And you got to say for Auckland though, is that the oldest squad in the A-League though? They picked the squad with the most experience. They're certainly not playing very many youngsters there though.
No, there's not many youngsters.
And
No.
it's a bit like when Glory won it in 2019 with the team that lost the grand final. There wasn't any young players in that squad either, so maybe that is the formula.
Well, just going back to your point though, Neil, not wanting this to be a sugar hit, is this sustainable for Auckland though? Can they keep this up? Of course, we're in a salary cap league. Can they keep spending the amount of money on experienced squad, getting the best of the players from the A-League, getting the best of players that they can from overseas, and just keep topping up this squad every year?
But not only that, is that the city of Auckland and the relevant stakeholders have bought in. Like, they sent relevant radio stations over there, sent commentators to Melbourne for that first leg. We're not even sending commentators around Australia at the moment as the host broadcaster.
No, Paramount are still recording and commentating off a monitor, aren't they?
Well, they are. So, I mean, this is what I mean, is there has been the buy-in, and they're probably the story of New Zealand sport at the moment.
Well, Blaine, you were here for Perth Glory right at the peak, and there was that buy-in over here as well.
Yeah.
Where you had travelling commentators, you had news stories, you had journalists following about for their games. And you got to think, if Glory were successful for a prolonged period of time, that may come back.
I don't think it will.
Think it's been too long?
I think technology's just come up to a point now. I mean, the AFL don't even do it. Fox Footy don't even do it. They all commentate off the tube now as well. So it's just the way it is. I don't know. I don't see it going backwards.
Yeah, that's sad, because you miss a hell of a lot just watching something on TV.
Yeah.
Even if you're not commentating,
Something that I've
commentating it
spoken
off
about
where
before.
you can only see a zoomed in part of the pitch is much more difficult. You miss so much more.
Yep. Keep us going with your bad, Muzz.
I'm stretching here for my bad, because I think it's been a really positive week with all the announcements of friendly games and things like that over here. But I think my bad would have to be, we got so much positive news stories, and they're so hard to come by here for football that they're in and they're out of the news cycle straight away. There's no prolonged interest there. Of course, we got Socceroos coming up in less than a month. Great news story there in a crucial World Cup qualifier. Nobody's talking about it. There was the announcement of the Matildas games, and they got announced and then forgotten about. AC Milan got announced with a little bit of interest. Of course, that was rumoured to be for quite some time, and then there's nothing on it. So perhaps that's my bad, just the quickness of the news cycle in just spitting these stories out and then forgetting them. I
think we're so spoilt for choice now, aren't we? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll get around the Socceroos and I'll go nuts for it. It's day one of tickets. I was, they're on my computer and everything else like that. But I think we're so spoiled for choice, but we're also been a little bit spoiled on how our national teams have been going. I mean, we haven't missed, this will be 6 World Cups for Australia if they qualify. Geez, I remember the bad old days where we huffed and puffed and didn't go anywhere, and it was the deepest, darkest, problem with Australian football. But it's almost like people just expect us to kind of be there, and there's not that hype and that build-up and that tension that goes along with it.
You've got these crucial games in Perth. I mean, when was the last time we had this crucial a game?
Oh, it's the biggest game. It's probably the biggest, most meaningful football game we've ever had in Perth. The only other one that would probably get near it would be those grand finals for the Glory.
No, I think it's comfortably it's got the most on the line, especially considering the opposition as well.
Yeah,
it's not Bangladesh, is it? On a Wednesday night, it is a proper a Titanic game, but in terms of magnitude. And I agree with Murray, because even speaking to Ben Smith, I mean, as he said, like the AFL can breathe and it will get clicks and people will be interested in it. Now, I do like that the Socceroos are going to do an open training session here at HBF Park on the public holiday Monday, which is a great move, free entry, and they announced
Japan's doing the same.
Yeah, so those sort of initiatives are great, and people need to get out and support it. And it comes back to my point around the friendlies that people, it's a shitty preseason friendly, and the teams don't care, and they're in preseason mode or they're going on holidays. That's fine, but if you don't get out and support it, it won't come back.
Yeah.
So in order for it to be part of the news cycle for longer, people need to show that genuine interest. I was a bit disappointed that there was only 40,000 tickets sold for the game, according to Ben's article this week. I would have been the 60,
well, we're still, what are we at, 3 weeks away?
It's a city of over 2 million people.
True.
This is the biggest game of football.
And I know people that are travelling. So
this is fucking massive.
Yeah.
Like this is huge in football terms.
Yeah.
But we're just very blasé to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why it drops out of the news cycle so quickly. But like you stick a monumental AFL game here or whatever. Like if Eagles went to the finals or Freo went to the finals, it's going to dominate the news cycle for weeks. The tickets are going to fly out because the hype is generated. There isn't enough hype generated because people probably don't click on the articles or click into it, as Ben said, and we fall out of the news cycle really quickly.
Well,
we're a bit complacent when it comes to it.
It's a little bit a catch-22, I feel, with that news cycle, and especially some of the outlets is that, and Ben kind of put it in enough terms, is that people don't go to the West for their football coverage.
Yeah,
specifically, right?
Is so if people don't, not popular there, or because they've never,
and this is where the catch-22 comes in, is that people don't go to these websites because they don't feel that they're going to get the coverage, and they don't go, so they don't build on that coverage. If that makes sense.
We also don't have a dedicated football journal. Like Ben is on numerous beats, whereas the AFL, there is dedicated writers.
Well, this is an issue across Australia.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You could probably count on one hand the amount of dedicated football journos. I can probably list them for you right now. Vince Rigari, Marco Monteverde, Joey Lynch, Anna Harrington does a little bit amongst other things as something just drops to the ground in the studio. Melissa Lordanich, and then you've got kind of your part-timers like us, Roundball Football, Front Page Football, and this, it goes on like that. But significant shrinkage in the last 5 to 10 years of the Australian football media.
Yeah, and that's part of it. But
Global Game, radio show gone, A-League off air gone. So, yeah.
Well, they had a brief comeback last week.
Well, they did, but I don't know if
this week.
No, I don't know how long they're going to be around for. So, there we go. Where are we up to?
My bad.
Yes,
go. I'm sure we'll talk about crowds, but I just think and I'm not a finals fan as it is. I think the format is a bit stale. The 2-leg semi-finals not really capturing the imagination for me. Yeah, I think they're a game too far. I think they're a game too far.
I like it, and I think the reason why it's got stale.
It's my bad. It's not yours.
All right,
no, go on. Continue. Go on.
Jesus. Well, I think the reason that it's got stale comes down primarily to Western United against Melbourne City, and then we'll go back next week and we do it in exactly the same stadium.
Yeah, but even Victory's attendances were down like 14,000 for them. Is not great relative to their membership base.
But they've been going down since Bucketgate.
Yeah, but and Western Sydney was okay, 14,000 or so as
They've
well.
They've been going down for longer. I thought that was a bit of a peak for Western Sydney.
Yeah, I just think the format and the rewarding of mediocrity is.
So what you just want pure knockout?
Top 4, 2 semi-finals and a final, get it done, smash it out, make them big marquee games.
I've got no problem with that because I've always said that you're rewarding mediocrity by having almost 50% now.
You're rewarding mid-table team. Yeah. Whoever finishes 6th getting into finals. I'm not a fan of it. I never have been. And I know it's because it's trying to keep people interested for longer. And that's why relegation would solve a few issues and whatnot. But we have to grow up a little bit. And if you can't be interested in your team towards the end of the season, well, then that's your attention. Yeah. Your attention span is the problem, not the way that the league is structured, because it works around the world so well. So, long story short, the finals is just a bit stale and dragging on a bit for me. Top 4. First place 4th, second place 3rd, highest ranked host the grand final. Job done.
I love the 2-legged playoffs. Absolutely love them. I don't like the fact that half the squad or half the teams are in the finals, though. That grates me. But you could have a top 4 with 2-legged playoffs. I don't think. I think
that elimination final, or whatever the first one is called, is the biggest waste of time. Anyway, for me, 5th and 6th being involved, scrap it straight away. How many? And none of them have ever gone on to win anything, I don't think.
Yeah. You think that they play the finals?
I think 4th maybe is the... Yeah.
You think, though, that those sides and that final exists just to keep the mid-table and a few of the sides down the bottom interested towards the end of the season?
Yeah.
Because I've seen over here, before the NPL came about, just they called it the WA Premier League. There was no final system, and 3/4 of the way through the season, there were the clubs that were fighting for the title, the 1 or 2 sides that were fighting against relegation, and then that was it. Every other club didn't really have too much to play for, and the final system did revitalise things.
But we still don't have a final system now. It's a totally separate top 4 cup. It's not considered a final system. We're the only one in Australia that doesn't have a final system, which I like. With the champions, if you win the league in WA, you are the champions.
Yeah, it's this Aussie culture thing of having to have finals. Look, I'm a first past the post traditionalist, and I've still trying to make myself comfortable with the idea of.
But I think we'll have
toilet seat winners being seen the champions of the season. It doesn't work. That's why we've got cup competition now, right? You've got the Australia Cup.
Until we've got more teams and promotion and relegation, I think we'll have finals. Until
I don't think finals is going anywhere, but I think it needs to be looked at, because I think it's more than just a Western United and Melbourne City factor. That's just amplified it.
Yeah. My bad is I've got 2 at the moment. I get a bit shirted off with touring teams being named as the home team in the home team's home stadium. That just shits me off, and it kind of just says we're all a little bit insecure and we don't have a spine, because you wouldn't see this anywhere else in the world. Imagine a team going and playing Manchester United at Old Trafford and they turn around and said, "No, we're the home team." It would not happen. To be
fair, I mean, Perth Glory aren't real tenants at Optus Stadium, are they? That's their
but it's been played at HBF Park.
But AC Milan are what the government is paying for, and they pay for an opposition.
Yeah,
and that's what I think Tony Sage said a few years ago. But just act as the guest.
You can come and act as the guest.
Well,
that's
to
fine.
be fair
There's
to Milan,
nothing wrong with that.
All their stuff was Perth Glory v AC Milan on their side.
The other one that I saw was AC Milan v Perth Glory, as if it's an afterthought.
Which is the government done, but AC Milan on their socials put it as.
Is that because AC Milan's the draw, though? You put the biggest name first, don't you? And AC Milan is a much, much bigger club, huge draw. Perth Glory, I'm sorry.
You will get more Perth Glory fans there than AC Milan fans there. Mark my words.
You reckon?
Absolutely. The active area is half the size for Glory fans compared to AC Milan, so they're probably expecting big AC Milan turnout.
But you got the shed. That's not.
It's only. I put the map up yesterday.
Yeah, but you got the shed still it's still a home end for the Glory. Though,
it is the home end, but the whole far end is AC Milan is active fans. The whole top of the family stand.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
See how that goes. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be much better in HBF Park than it will be in Optus, because you'll only get your diehards in there.
Get your tickets.
Yeah,
because they will sell out.
When's that on sale? When does that go on sale? Like tomorrow? Thursday?
There is pre-sale for members, I think, coming up.
Thursday?
Glory members, maybe.
All right, Mark. Have a bit of a look because it's kind of caught
question
me out.
for you then on that topic.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer Glory being the guest and actually being involved in the game, or do you prefer two teams not from that city playing in that city? I've just brought up the AC Milan Facebook page there, by the way.
Like saying, would I rather cut off my arm or my leg?
They have it as AC Milan again versus Perth Glory, so they've done the right thing by you and put Glory first. AC Milan have on their video.
Yeah, I mean, they are the Perth Glory is the home team in the home state and the home city. It doesn't matter which way you spin it. And I'll tell you where this is coming from. This is coming from promoters. This isn't coming from the club.
Yeah, but
this is coming from the promoters that bring these people out.
This is not a game of football. But that's my question.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer Glory to be involved or two out-of-town teams playing in a city?
I'd still rather say Glory to be involved. But there's got to be that connection. If they're going to be involved, there needs to be that connection.
It's a loaded question for me because announced last night was that Leeds are playing AC Milan in Dublin. So I just wanted to see how you feel about Leeds taking a game away from Ellen Road and playing in Dublin against AC Milan.
Yeah, I did see that actually. It's interesting.
I'm actually thinking of going because I'm in Dublin at the time. So that was
you're a man's a Leeds fan, isn't he?
He is.
So
he is.
No,
he's here.
Oh, okay.
I might go on his behalf. But yeah, it is. I get it. Like these are friends. And my point, like Leeds and AC Milan playing in Dublin, like what the fuck?
Yeah,
why are they just playing England? It's right there. It's right next door. Yeah. But with this one,
it's because Ireland's a football backwater, Neil.
Well, we don't respect our League of Ireland enough. It's disappointing. But the reason this being is because the money is being pumped in to bring AC Milan here. They're the draw card for this game. They are the draw card. Glory aren't. It's that simple. You're not going to sell tickets and merch by putting Glory up in headlights and say, by the way, they're playing AC Milan.
No, but I get that. But you can still have them as the guest and it'll still get exactly the same traction. Look, it just seems ridiculous.
I think you guys, there's other things to talk about with promoters. And I think the real question is how long before, and I'm amazed it hasn't happened already, that an AC Milan player or delegate hasn't had a Sharon shoved in their hand yet.
Yeah.
No, well, Patrick Wood had a Burley shoved in his hands, didn't he?
He did.
There you go.
Yeah.
So.
And will Zlatan come again? Big question for me.
Yeah.
Will he be on board? Hope so. Well,
there you go.
It's great seeing him here last year.
My second, I guess a little bit of a side thought, and this has been going on for a little while now, but the season in that is for South Melbourne and Melbourne Knights at the moment is absolutely shocking. We could essentially have one, if not two sides relegated that will be involved in the National Second Division Championship, whatever you want to call it. So this was always going to be a risk when you had that original 8, rather than just say, right, top 2 from each federation. This is the Australian Championship. This might form, as I suggested, maybe this forms one day the promotion playoff to the A-League, to pump teams up to the A-League, existing teams up to the A-League. I think that's the way that it should go, but this was always going to be a risk that they had. So South Melbourne are sitting at the moment dead last. They've sacked their coach. I think Melbourne Knights have also sacked their coach, and they're two of Australia's biggest clubs that could be relegated to be playing in the national second.
Is this a bit of poison, really? Because we saw what happened over here. Coburn put a bid in to become part of it in the original first round.
That wasn't serious, though. That was surely just testing the waters.
Well, look, they got relegated twice in 2 years.
I don't think that's got anything to do with it, because they shouldn't have ever changed the way that they're going about things. I think they've just had a bit of a rough patch, and that's it. It looks like they're going to come back up.
This is the beauty about football, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't perform, you get relegated.
But this is what I mean, is it seems ridiculous having a national championship, the best of the best outside of the A-League, but yet they could be playing in the second div, state-wise. So I think it's not a great
some of the teething issues they need to work through. I think it's pretty funny that they're both doing so badly, given how much they've shot on the A-League over the years and everything else. So, yeah, just be better.
SMFC Mike's doing his manual crowd count.
Just be better. Yeah, just be better.
Muzz, ugly, mate.
Perth Glory's first half performance against Central Coast in that knockout game.
Yeah, right.
In that Australia Cup playoff. That was back to the dark days earlier on in the season. I think I got to just after the second goal and wanted to put a hole through the TV. I couldn't watch any more of that. It was diabolical.
It was extremely bad. And I did say as much, and then they went and won, so it looked like a bit of a tool. But as a 45-minute game of football, it was so hard to watch. It really was really, really difficult. And it wasn't exactly a vintage Mariners team.
No.
So, yeah, it was bad. Yep.
Ugly nil?
I know you're going to talk about the crowds. I know you're going to talk about the crowds. So, I'll say the pitch at Amy Park, by the time it got to the women's final, it had a lot of heavy traffic on it.
It was a bit reminiscent of 90s.
It's like what football. I grew up on playing in Dublin, in Ireland as a schoolboy. Awful. Yeah, just really bad. It wasn't a great look for a final. Look, the circumstances, that's the way it was. The teams that qualified for the A-League finals, the men's they had semi-final 2 games there, back-to-back days, the weather, everything else. But yeah, it wasn't great. So just the pitch. We have a lot of pitch issues with sharing with other codes, and now we're creating problems for ourselves as well. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that Western United aren't allowed to play, and I'll let you have your thing about the crowds. But if they were allowed to play at their actual home ground, that would have been one less game on that pitch.
And it probably would have been a pretty good atmosphere, and I'll carry that on because that was exactly mine, was this Western United v Melbourne City. You've got 2 clubs from a city with 5 to 6 million people, and you can't fill out a 30,000 seater or even half of a 30,000 seater. That's a real indictment on the league and on those 2 clubs and the way that they're not connecting with the local football fraternity in Victoria.
You can't just pin this all on Western United, though. Some of the blame's got to go on the FA for deciding to have a side out
on
there.
APL.
Ticket prices over the game, $70 for some of the tickets.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's another thing that I will mention, and this is putting a little bit of my Football Supporters Association cap on, was it's an absolute slap in the face for members when they get a 10% discount. The powers that be at APL or the clubs decide, when I haven't sold enough tickets, we're going to give latecomers a 50% discount.
What do you do? What do you do as a promoter, though? You've got to try and fill that stadium.
Well, what you've just done is you've disincentivized anyone from getting any kind of.
But it's like when people say that Glory should just throw the gates open for every home game and they'd pack it out, but then members aren't going to buy tickets anymore. Yeah. So it's along those lines, and I get it. And I am guilty for some sporting events of waiting till the last minute because I know that these offers are going to come, and I'll wait. And I can judge by looking at the maps how sold out the stadiums are. I'm actually hoping that they're going to do it for the British and Irish Lions game in a few weeks' time. I don't really like rugby, but I'm tempted to go. I'm tempted to go just for the novelty of it. But I'm not paying $120 for it. Yeah. If someone gives me 50% discount the week of it, I'll probably pop along to Optus and check it out. Yep. But I won't lose any sleep if I don't go. And I think there's people in the same boat with the A-League finals where I am not paying $70 or $50 to go watch what they see as park football. But if they get an offer for 20 is plenty, $20, I'll go watch a game. And they'll hoover it up then. So it's a tough one. But I do think that the price point, it was
too much of a
bad.
Squeeze.
Yeah, at the moment. There's so much going on with cost of living. And to your point around saturation of sport and media and everything else, we have so many options of events to go to. And we're pretty, even in Perth, which was the sleepy town, there's something happening. There's a gig, there's a sporting event on every few days, it feels like.
Yep. Well, there you go. We'll wrap that section up. We might get a little bit deeper into the A-League and Perth Glory. There's been a little bit of movement, so we'll do that after this. You're on the Far Post Perth podcast.
What a run! This could be the one! It's in! That's what it's all about! And when it comes to sports gear that helps you perform your best, ID Athletic has the winning formula. From grassroots clubs to elite athletes, ID Athletic provides high-quality sporting apparel, screen printing, embroidery, and made-to-order promotional products. Proud sponsors of the Far Post Perth and passionate supporters of WA community sport. Visit ID Athletic at 84 Howe Street, Osborne Park, or online at idathletic.com. ID Athletic. Build your identity.
Tired of the same old cookie-cutter home designs? Dreaming of a space that truly reflects you? Then it's time to talk to the team at Trio Homes. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, redesign your current space, or simply renovate, Trio Homes is committed to unique designs, local personalised service and quality workmanship. And with former Perth Glory star Dino Julbich at the helm, you'll know you're getting passion and dedication built into every project. Discover the difference with Trio Homes. Visit triohomes.com.au.
Welcome back to the Far Post Perth podcast. Plenty happening, boys. Not so much on the pitch, of course, locally, but a bit of news out of the Perth Glory. There will be some departures, Neil. Presser came out today. You put a couple of little tweets out. What have we got on the way out?
Well, I don't think it's going to surprise anybody from what we've seen and what we were expecting, and who we think should go. Everybody has their own opinions. But out of contract, Lockie Barr, who I forgot was still at Glory.
Yeah, was he? Fell off the radar.
Completely forgot. I think injury, and then just disappeared. Riley Warland, again, someone who disappeared throughout the season. Jalen Pearman, which we knew about, obviously gone to Queen's Park Rangers. Patrick Wood, again, nothing personal, but the most pointless signing in Glory history, bringing in another club's player on loan to either train him up or figure out if he's got it at that level. So Sydney will be delighted. They got to have a bit of a sample size of their player, while Glory stunted the development of one of their own who didn't get games because of him. So that's an end. And the new Lizarazu, Anas Hamzawi, which is a payout because he was signed on two-year contract. So he was brought in on 2 years.
2-year contract. That's crazy.
Yeah. So they'll have had to pay him out his second year. And according to Ben Smith, Aoyama is not coming back as well. His contract was up, so that's no surprise.
Yeah,
so
he was actually signed by Stadge, which is interesting. I think.
So that's six outs so far, and there's plenty more out of contract that we're aware of. The good news is,
who's out of contract? Have we got that?
I'll get it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to tell me this stuff before we start the segment, so I can be prepped, but that's fine. I'll go.
Well, you don't prep at the best of times, Neil.
No, that's why I need you to tell me what to do. I don't do any preparation for these things. I make it up in the car on the way down. Over to you, Murray.
Well,
we need some
Anas
thinking music.
Hamzawi, though. I mean, I'm amazed that they signed him on a 2-year deal. The guy hadn't played football for an entire season. He was not playing, third division in Belgium. And he was going to be the whale signing, going to be the next Lizarazu. And what do they say? Overpromise, underdeliver?
Yeah.
Another whale signing out the door.
Yeah.
How many whale signings have been released already? Must be in double figures.
Too many.
Yeah. So, look, here we go. There's a really good website that has all this stuff listed, by the way.
Farpostperth.com.au.
Yeah, that's the one. It's got all these dates and everything. Riley Warden we know about. Tommy Murchula. So I think there's interest in bringing him back. But if they've signed Scott Wootton, seems like same.
Depends if they lose LeBib.
Yeah, but surely you'd want to try get a younger defender rather than 2 34-year-olds.
True.
So
Majeka Dumi, does he hang around? That's your cover.
Barr, gone. Mizuo and Okamoto, they're the two. Now I believe that there's interest in bringing them back. They were the January. They were brought in January.
They were workable, but I
thought Mizuo was good.
Yeah.
As a fullback was good. Yeah, solid. I'd give him another year. Aoyama we already mentioned. Lucky Wales is expected to sign. Good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give him a 2+1.
Yep.
Personally, good lad. Friend of the pod.
Yep.
We can call him up for another podcast next year if he stays. Patrick Wood mentioned. David Williams. I would like to see David Williams transition to a coaching role. Keep him around. He's on the PFA. Seems like a really popular figure.
I love David Williams.
So experienced in the league.
Yeah.
Seems like a good personality for Glory. He goes on the radio shows.
Yeah.
Glory need people like that around. I would get him in as on the
He's
coaching.
He's like Glory's Sonny Walters, isn't he?
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I would get him in some sort of capacity role. And I think I say coaching because I don't know if he's got badges or anything like that, but he looks like a player who puts an arm around younger players and something that they can learn from. He's been around the league for so long. So I would be really happy if he stayed. Trent Ostler, believe, is signing another contract.
Yeah, that was the rumour came through today.
As a squad player, fine. As a starter, we probably need to upgrade. Yeah, I would think so. Miljuznich, what do you do there?
I think he started to show a little bit.
This is the conundrum now, because if you base it off the first half of the season, played 5 minutes.
Who's the other wingers though? So you've got Wales who plays out, Osler, Miliusnic. I know you're going to talk about areas of need, and that is a massive one for me. All right, so that seems to be pretty much where we're at in terms of those out of contract, and obviously contracts don't count for very much in the A-League, so we'll have the mutual termination window. With the domestic transfer that's starting to come in, they'll start to mean a hell of a lot more.
And then you're looking at players that potentially will survive, but I would have question marks over. We don't know what's happening with Ollie Sale. There's talk about him leaving and potentially a replacement coming in. Pennington is contract next year, hopefully stays. Gamulka is a big question mark for me because disappeared.
Didn't show enough for me.
23 years of age, he should be getting into his prime as a regular in the A-League, and I just don't think he asserted himself in midfield at all. And I think you're looking at the likes of Will Franey overtaking him, for example, for those spots. Nathaniel Blair is another one. Does he go back to New South Wales? He's got another year, but didn't do anything, didn't really get many opportunities.
He would have a combined total of minutes under 90, wouldn't he, for the season?
Oh, absolutely.
5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and deep in injury time.
Yeah. And then, look, the big one is Luke Amos. I've just been worried that he was going to get snapped up by another A-League club.
Well, there was talk that they were looking at him, that others were looking at him. So.
And but Stan apparently is confident of re-signing him, which probably means he's leaving. No, that's good to hear. That is good to hear because we want him. Yeah. He's a player we want to keep. And then there was a few rumours and links around potentially Joe Lolly coming in, and then there was talk of Joe Lolly swapping with Adam Taggart.
Jaden Kasharski.
Kasharski apparently going to Western United and not Glory instead. And
stuff him there.
And there's interest in a few other players as well.
Callum Timmins is a name that I've
Callum
heard.
Timmins is going to is apparently signed.
Yeah, okay.
Apparently he signed according to Newcastle Jets media.
Yep.
And the other one was linked to bring Bruno Fornaroli back for a swan song.
I think that I don't quote me on this, but I think that Bruno Fornaroli still has a house
here,
Perth,
and he said he wants to retire here after he's finished playing. Do you
give him a year? Not under any circumstances, or are you open to maybe opening the door slightly, Neil?
Depends what he's prepared to do.
Yeah.
If he's prepared to do the David Williams role, right.
Yeah.
But I think he's got itchy feet, not getting on the pitch as much as he wants for victory at the moment. And if he's going to come in and is it about him wanting to finish up on the field, or is it about him wanting a payday? A final hurrah payday. That's where the line's if you're looking to win something in the last year of your career, it's probably not the right place to come. But
he's got. I think he was quite settled here. As I said, house,
absolutely, yeah.
Knew plenty of the Glory, past Glory players. He was,
one
mates
of the past
with
Glory players built his house.
Well, yeah, that too. So, there's a bit going on.
I would be. I would need to know what they've agreed to. 37, 38-year-old striker, bringing in Joe Lolly, who's 33.
Yeah.
Bringing in Scott Wooden, who's 34. We're getting a little bit up there. Given Risden's still going to be around. Ronks, he's 33. O'Neill is 31 this year. Taggart is over 30. Miliusnic is over 30. You keep Murchler around at 34, 35.
Quick one before we wrap this segment, but another interesting part is what happens with a lot of these youngsters. Really interesting. Obviously, Seb Despotovsky looks like he will get an opportunity with the first team. And then you've got about half a dozen in that NPL side that are probably on the fringe of possibly getting train on spots and everything else like that. Does it open up, or do we lose a lot of these youngsters? That's been a conversation at local leagues.
With them as well, but even someone like, and this is where my concern around signing Murchel and Wooten is, Zach Lisolowski, is 19 as a player that has played underage level internationally, a bit like Labib.
Yep.
If both of them are sticking around and you've got Majeka Dummi, don't need two 34-year-old centre backs alongside them, because Risdon can play centre back if you need to. There's
this is half my argument when I talked about that Athletic Bilbao stuff, and obviously there was a bit of merit in that, but
there wasn't.
Are you going to get the similar output from two WA products than you would a Marcella and a Scott Wootton?
Look, we always criticise Glory for not bringing as many WA youngsters through as what we want per year. I think it's a bit unrealistic, though, to think that they could fill the entire squad. No,
I'm going to say, maybe not the entire squad now, but what I'm saying is, would you, particularly with your centre-half pairing, would you get the same output from Majeka Dummi and Labib as you would Marcella and Wootton?
No,
you don't think so?
No,
I think you would.
Not. You get a lot more running.
I think you would. I think you'd get more out of it, and I think what you do is you'd put them firmly in the shop window for a decent transfer overseas.
They're both,
and that's part of the business plan of the Perth Glory at the moment.
They're both young players.
Yeah,
that really need that final bit of polish, and the best way to get that polish is playing next to an experienced central defender that's been there, done that. Position yourself here, move over here, do this. Really, Marshall.
And that's where the logic of bringing in Scott Wootton is.
Yeah, exactly.
I rate it from that perspective. If he's there to nurture and everything else, but do you sign Marcella as well?
Yeah, no,
just before we wrap up, I'll leave you with a quote from our friend Stan. Would I love to bring Joe Lolly to Perth Glory? You bet I would. He's my style of player. He's exactly what we need. The way we play here, he would fit in lovely, and he was working with Coach David Zrilic for a couple of years. Now, I'm sure 37-year-old Bruno Fornaroli would love to play in David Zrilic's pressing style of football as well. So let's bring in 33-year-old Joe Lolly, have 31-year-old or 32-year-old Adam Taggart, and 37-year-old Bruno Fornaroli running around like headless chickens doing a press from the front. What could go wrong?
Interesting times. Is there? I guess I did mention a little bit of a wish list. Is there a player across the league that you'd kind of really that is gettable that you'd have at Perth at the moment? Is there anyone that's on the radar?
I would take Sapsford in a heartbeat.
Would you?
Yeah, I think Sapsford at Western Sydney is the sort of young, dynamic player that you could cause a bit of chaos in and around Taggart. I feel like he's got a lot about his game. He's scored goals. Zach Sapsford is someone that I rate really highly this season. He's had a breakthrough year. And not saying you try to kitchen sink at somebody like that.
Well, he's going to get the opportunities now. Obviously, Milanovic is gone at Western Sydney.
He's the profile of player that I think losing Pearman, he's the sort of player that alternatively, Lolly, jokes aside, Lolly is what Glory need as a wide player who creates chances. Because one of the biggest issues we've had this year is creating the chances for Taggart. Osler's end product is a big issue. Miliousnic could barely get on the pitch. And Asmo didn't really have an end product as exciting as he was when he came on.
Yeah.
So that creativity from wide areas is something Lolly would give you week in, week out. So, that top profile of player for me, definitely, I think
he'd be a great signing. I mean, I'll go the other way, though. Angus Thurgate, for me.
Yeah, but he signed on.
I know he signed on, but you said if you can get anyone in, mate,
but you wouldn't get it. I understand it, but I mean, it's not gettable at all. Well, there you go.
That's told you, hasn't it? Don't be so bloody delusional over there.
Pull your head out your ass, Murray Stevens.
You might,
You get us.
You might as well ask for Rodri while you're over there.
I mean, if he's available.
There you go. What I thought we might do is take a quick break and we'll look ahead to a big few games coming up. Obviously, plenty happening locally, a bit in the A-League, and of course a little bit in Europe.
What a run! This could be the one! It's in! That's what it's all about! And when it comes to sports gear that helps you perform your best, ID Athletic has the winning formula. From grassroots clubs to elite athletes, ID Athletic provides high-quality sporting apparel, screen printing, embroidery, and made-to-order promotional products. Proud sponsors of the Far Post Perth and passionate supporters of WA community sport. Visit ID Athletic at 84 Howe Street, Osborne Park, or online at idathletic.com. ID Athletic. Build your identity.
Tired of the same old cookie-cutter home designs? Dreaming of a space that truly reflects you? Then it's time to talk to the team at Trio Homes. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, redesign your current space, or simply renovate, Trio Homes is committed to unique designs, local personalised service and quality workmanship. And with former Perth Glory star Dino Julbich at the helm, you'll know you're getting passion and dedication built into every project. Discover the difference with Trio Homes. Visit triohomes.com.au.
What a part of the Far Post Perth podcast. Plenty happening locally. Of course, we did have the A-League W Grand Final across the weekend. After a 2-2 result, it was a win on pens for the Central Coast Mariners. Murray Stevens, for the little club that could, that is 5 major trophies in 3 seasons? 2 seasons. 3.
3?
Yep.
Good.
Yep. So, yeah.
I think it's the first time in the women's that one of the major clubs hasn't won it either. So, hats off to Central Coast.
Yep.
Really good game.
This was a club that was an inaugural a foundation club in the Women's A-League. They fell off the radar. They got brought back under Richard Pale, and now they've gone on to win it. So we'll win the grand final, not the league. But, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Look, if you haven't seen that game, go and watch it. Decent game. We know the pitch was chopped up. I think it makes it even more remarkable, the performances from Murphy for Melbourne Victory, Chidiac as well, with a nice bit of skill, and Isabel Gomez.
How's Emily Husband's story? Came over here 8 years ago as a backpacker. That's awesome. That is
really
brilliant.
Is it a ringing endorsement for our league?
No, but it's good. I like it.
Of course.
She had a football background, but I mean,
it is good. And her point around all the focus being on City and Victory in the finals, let them slip under the radar a little bit, and they beat both of them. You know, so you're doing it the hard way as well. So, yeah, good story.
Well, actually, before we move on, how's that for a story, though? Central Coast, who won the A-League Grand Final, wouldn't be there if there was VAR. Well, beautiful story that we don't get to see anymore in modern football.
And it's a women's program that didn't exist 2 years ago. So, you know, you add that with what Auckland are doing in the men's.
Well, they've got a women's program coming in next year, don't they?
Is it next year?
Is it next year after?
So, well, they have to. So, which is good.
Yep. No, excellent. A-League semi-finals, we did mention them, but not quite the results. Melbourne Victory fell 1-0 to Auckland, so they have got the advantage heading back to Auckland, and the return leg off that is 2 p.m. Saturday. So you can watch that, and you can watch the, it's likely to be a bit of a non-event unless Western United can really pull their finger out, because they've currently sit with a 3-0 deficit after that result in the weekend to Melbourne City.
No Bodic in the first leg. I think he was carrying an injury there. Maybe could have played, and you think that Western United really could have used him.
Oh, really without a doubt. They looked a bit toothless in attack without him, very much so. And I think this one's done and dusted, though, because Patrick Beach was a bit of an unknown quantity at the start of the year, replacing Jamie Young, and he's been brilliant. Yeah, he had a clanger in one of the derbies against Victory. But overall, he's been solid. So I don't see Western United clawing that back.
A bit happening over in Europe at the moment, European leagues. And I thought we might just have a bit of a look at what's happening around the place. Last day of the Premier League, all said and done, all pretty bloody boring. Everyone's relegated. The champion's been done, and I don't think anyone could really care.
Oh, certainly not Liverpool.
Otherwise,
they've been partying ever since they won the title.
Yeah, that's where you get your business done early. You're entitled to it. It's going to be a bit of a piss up between them and Palace in the final game. The Premier League has been a bit boring because the title and the relegation spots have been done and dusted for ages. I mean, it's been funny seeing United and Spurs 16th and 17th. That's been the source of entertainment, humour-wise. And then the real fun is up at the Champions League spots, which is still to be decided. 3rd to 7th can still sneak in.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye on that. Last day of the championship, the playoff final between Sheffield United and Sunderland.
Don't want Sheffield United back.
I was going to say, any preference?
Sunderland. I went to see Sunderland Stadium Aleague about 18 months ago, and I enjoyed my day out. So
get that big derby between them and Newcastle.
So it'll be Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland to go up.
And straight back down. Yeah,
prick. Champions League final.
Leeds have got one season in them.
No, as I said, I don't think Leeds can't afford to go back down. I think there's enough backing from them now through Red Bull and the 49ers group to be able to
free fall.
Yeah, hopefully not. But there we go. We might start for a few seasons and see what happens.
You know what you guys will end up doing? Leeds will end up being, as part of that group, being relegated on a really low points title, keeping the likes of Manchester United and Tottenham, who would have been relegated in just about every other season with their points tallies. You'll be keeping them up again for another season.
No, as you said, Neil, a couple of weeks ago, I don't think, especially Red Bull and their stake, they want a team in that top division.
I think they need it. So jokes aside, I do think Leeds will be okay because they're so well backed.
Yeah. New stadium on the way. There's a bit more of a buzz this time around. It's a little bit more settled, I think, rather than obviously Radrizzani when he was there and everyone else. A Champions League final, PSG, Inter. Any thoughts? Any preference?
I think PSG have been the best and probably most surprising team of the whole competition. However, this Inter team can shithouse their way to it. It's a bit like Mourinho's.
I've watched a minute of it.
Mourinho's Inter, when they did Barcelona, when Barcelona were free-flowing attacking, the PSG are like that with Kvaratskhelia, Doué, Dembele. These players in the final third are so exciting, and Inter will just chop them down on the halfway line, and Lautaro Martinez Lautaro Martinez will just bang one in at the far end. They'll win 1-0. So that's what I could see happening. But yeah, I think PSG have been a great success story throughout it, because they get lambasted all the time. Ligue 1, it's a farmers league. They just win it every year, but they never do it in Europe. They fucked off Neymar, Messi, Mbappe.
And they're doing
it. And now they're in the Champions League final. So
they're not just a flashy side, though. Donnarumma is some keeper.
Oh, unbelievable.
And, amazing performances against Liverpool, amazing performance against Arsenal as well. Yeah. To knock those two clubs out.
They've got nice players as well. Like the likes of Vitinha is somebody who is technically amazing and will be a great player for Portugal, but he flies under the radar because he's not part of that front 3 or 4. But it's just a tidy player that you like to watch. So they are the better team for me, but I just think Inter have although now Inter are bottling Serie A, so whether that's playing on their mind as well. Speaking of bottlings, the Ajax bottle job at the weekend was quite something to behold. The coach then left already after bottling that 9-point lead.
Yeah, right.
There was quite scenes when they conceded the 90.
Europa League final, Europa, Tottenham v Man United. I couldn't give a donkeys. I hope just Ange probably gets the chocolates. Probably his final hurrah, no matter what the result is.
I think if you lose 21 Premier League games out of 37 so far, any other season you'd be gone by now.
Yeah.
But because they've got this, and it'll be weird, right? If he wins it, he'll go down in history and folklore and everything with Spurs fans, but he'll probably have gotten the boot. I don't think United will sack Amorim, though. I think he gets the summer transfer window no matter what happens.
Yeah.
But the thing for them is, if they lose, they don't go into the Champions League and get the money. So his budget will be restricted with what he can do in the summer, and then he might get booed in November, and United just go through the same cycle again.
Any interest in the conference? Real Betis v Chelsea.
It would be pretty funny if Anthony scored again, because he's in great form since he went to them from United, and if he was to knock off Chelsea in the final, and if United lost the Europa League final and Anthony won that final against Chelsea. Actually, now that's what I hope happens. Yeah.
All right. So we'll see how that all.
Though, I mean, he might be able to get 2 winners' medals. He's played enough games for them in the Europa, hasn't he?
Yeah, he probably would have. Yeah. Imagine him turning up to 2 bus parades, hungover from one.
United aren't going to have one. They're going to have a barbecue. They're cutting back.
City weren't going to have a bus parade after the FA Cup. So
all right, quick look. Local leagues, NPL, WA, Sorrento beat Floreat on the weekend. Mars, that's some real panic stations for Floreat now.
People were worried about Floreat last year, and they turned out as wrong, stayed up, but cracks are starting to show there this year. Not good enough.
Big result for Balcatta and Olympic Kingsway. Balcatta were 3-2 ahead at one stage there. That would have been a cracking fixture. It finished 3-3. Western Knights over Fremantle City. Muzz, you were down there at Nashfield. In a word?
Oh, magnificent. Yep. Great contest between the two clubs. Christian Santich's goal to make it 3-1 at the time.
He's having a good couple of weeks.
He's having a magnificent season.
And you had a good sesh on the Croatian beers, I hear.
Yeah, get on the Pivo, boys.
Yep.
And the Chavapi there.
Good stuff there.
Great day out.
Perth Glory and Bayswater City 1-1. Just those three at the top just can't seem to break away from each other, especially those two. Yeah, Despotovsky on the score sheet. Perth Red Star beat Stirling Lions. Also, maybe a little bit of concern around Stirling Lions, and Armidale beat Perth.
I was wondering where Donna was these last few weeks.
she's absolutely
gone into hiding.
Well, she
Stirling.
went to Bali, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah,
she
so
did.
there you go. She's trying to get away from it.
She's taking breaks in the middle of the season when Stirling need her the most.
I know. Bayswater City sit top, 20 points. Perth Glory on 18. Olympic Kingsway on 17. Perth on 15. Armidale have closed the gap with that win, so just the 3 points. They're on 12 to Fremantle City. Here you go. Here's one for you, boys. When was the last time this happened? Fremantle City, Sorrento, Stirling Lions, Perth Red Star and Western Knights all sit on 8 points. To Balcatta, second last on 7, and Floreat Athena sits 5 points adrift.
And I think that just a really quick one in Division 1, Inglewood.
Yep.
Second bottom, I think, after their relegation last year. It's a bit like Coburn, right? The free fall.
Yeah.
Like going down, you could spiral, and that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Definitely Inglewood story as well.
Beautiful. Any last, I guess, thoughts, observations? Anything else we want to say?
No, I don't think there's been. I think the AC Milan stuff has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just looking forward to having another big team, and people raging. Oh, Perth gets everything. Yeah, we fucking do. It's great. Keep your Wrexham.
I'm glad it's at HBF Park. I think that's going to add a little bit more to it.
I'm actually, and there's two reasons why. One, really quickly. One, at HBF Park, amazing, and two, it's not a World Cup year, and it's a pre-season friendly, so you're going to get the full Milan squad.
Yeah.
We didn't have Rafael Leao and Christian Pulisic, for example, last year. They're two that should be here this year, which that's star power, like really big name players that will.
How are they going to feel when Adam Taggart scores a hat trick to send them home with nothing? That'll be interesting.
Great.
See how it all goes.
But no, I'm hyped for that. I'm looking forward to it.
Mark Stevens, thank you very much for jumping on board. A big thank you to you, Neil Shew, and big thank you, of course, to ID Athletic and Trio Home. So we'll be back for one final hurrah. We'll see if we can conjure up a special guest or something to finish on a little bit of a high. This has been the Far Post Perth podcast.